Hello, welcome to armyofjesus.com. Today I want to talk to you about whether it's evolution or Bible's creation, a very controversial topic. Um, Now, what I'm going to be covering today is about evolution proof, how they proved evolution, and we'll cover the missing links and DNA in monkey and human comparison to very exciting prehistoric creatures that are existing today and dinosaurs that possibly existed with men, and we'll show all these evidences of these exciting news. And next time in the next video, I'll be talking about how they calculated the age of Earth and what fossils really tell and how long it takes to forge a fossil and what Grand Canyon tells about the true age of the Earth. Um, so firstly, we are in this galaxy, living in this universe, and we're on this Earth in one of these stars. And in the Earth, this is a picture of Chicago, in the airplane. We live in these cities, and we just have to wonder, where did these things come to be? Like, how did all this come to be? And there are two big opinions. Number one is whether God created it or evolution of living things. So let's cover these topics. Okay, so most people believe in evolution, so we should cover why we do not believe in creationism, that God created it. Because number one, we don't know God. We never been taught creationism. We only been taught evolution. Although evolution is a theory, it's not been totally proven. We are only taught evolution and not creationism at school. And also, the second reason is nobody's seen creation happen because nobody was in the beginning of time. And we never seen God personally, or there are some people who've seen God, but not everybody's seen God, so we cannot make everybody believe what we say. And there's a fourth, and then there's an education of evolution in schools. Most people believe in education of the schools, so they believe in evolution. And the fifth reason is because some people, or a lot of people, don't want to believe in God. They don't want to be submitting or have any master over their life telling them what to do and what not to do. So their alternative is to believe in evolution, which makes total sense to them. So they reject the idea of creationism because, as the Word of God says, that people don't want to believe in God. And it's not that they cannot believe, but rather they would not, because they don't want to be in any control. We like to be free, right? So, okay. In school, this is what you learn. In biology, how these things came to be and how life came to be. Introduce the wonders of life. And you're introduced with this kind of picture I hope you remember in your school. Um, yeah, that humans came about 10,000 years ago, and Homo erectus, our ancestor, or maybe monkey-like man, came about 1.8 million years ago. It's 1.8 million years ago, and there's all these other creatures that came in 199 million years ago, and then the first life came about roughly about 542 million years ago, and maybe before that was maybe a germ. And the Earth was formed 4.6 billion years ago. This is what people believe, that if you dig the ground, like in Grand Canyon, for example, then you will see this age form. So that's how they think maybe this is as much how much Earth is aged. And we'll go through this all. Okay, so the proof of evolution, how do they prove their evolution? Is because they say, well, everybody has DNA. Every animal, every tree, plant has DNA in there. So we must have came from one DNA organism and it evolved into several other organisms. And that's what their real reason is. And because of the fossil records also back up, maybe there's germs in the bottom and then it grew all the way. So maybe fossil records maybe show that because there's all built up on top, must be in this order. And genetic commonalities, that we share common ancestral genes, like for example, monkey is similar to a man or something, or we're similar to a rat or something like that, because we have some genetic commonalities. That's a proof of evolution that we are evolved. And there's common traits in embryos like bone structures, resemblance of each animal, like a cat bone looking like a dog bone in a way, and they have backbones and eyeballs and nose and whatsoever. So that's why this is a proof of evolution. That's what they say. And there's bacterial resistance to antibiotics. When you test bacteria, these bacteria become resistant to antibiotics, and that just shows that it must be clearly evolving and changing and being resistant. So they become stronger and they're changing. So that must be a proof of evolution. Pretty reasonable reasons. Now, why we do not talk about these missing links is because these missing links actually don't prove evolution. It goes against evolution. There is no such fossil records of millions of links that shows the progress of evolution. For example, a rat that turns into a bat, there should be all these millions of links that it took time and effort for the rat to start developing like bat-like wings on their hands and start changing. So there is no such thing like that, and we'll go through that in detail. And there's no fossil records of perfect Neanderthal and so on that backs up a monkey race kind of thing that evolved into human. There's no fossil records. Oh, but then we learned that there are some fossil records. Well, we'll check on those fossils. And there are fossil records of everything, even dinosaurs in perfect shapes, but nothing, absolutely zero on these missing links. So what happened to these missing links is the question that we must go through. So this is what the links are, that we evolved from some germ in the bottom, and then evolve into these creatures all the way to human. Okay, that we evolved from these one organisms. But the missing link theory is that there is no links that link to these progress. So we'll go through that. So we have to think of, so from our rat that became a bat, obviously you think the flying, it would be the last thing that happened. The most evolved thing would be flying, right? Because we come from the ocean. We came from the ocean to a fish, and fish into these animals, and these animals into these animals. Okay, so how many tribes and species of animals do you think needed for this to happen, for these to develop wings? How many animals? Probably a rat to a bat. It took a bunch of bat-like creatures, right, that evolved, right? There should be millions. For example, like a rat starts going up on a tree, so it became what do you call it, squirrel, and the squirrel start jumping off the tree, so it just tried to fly in a way a little bit. So there must be these development of the hand becoming longer and longer and longer and longer, right? And there must be a link to these rat or squirrel having these things like where its wings are developing more and more over time to become a bat. But surprisingly, there is no such bones like these at all. There is no such bones like that. This is just a drawing. This is just a theoretical thing. It's a hypothetical progress that people are thinking, well, there must be some kind of stages of evolution, right? But there is none. And you're saying, oh, maybe there's just nothing for the bats. No, there's nothing for every single creature. There's no in-between links. And oh, what about the archaea? We'll cover all those birds, okay? Now, this is the oldest bat fossil they found in 52 million years ago, and this is the modern day. Any resemblance? To me, it looks about same, right? 52 million years ago. Remember our picture that this picture had 52 million years ago. It's a pretty long time ago. And bats were still bats then and still bats today. So that's kind of odd, huh? Or maybe they were evolved a little bit earlier than us, okay? We can give you that. Homo erectus 1.8 million years ago. Okay, so this is what you learn in school, okay? That these monkeys start walking over millions and millions of years to become us. And that we came from basically a monkey. That's what they're telling you. This is exactly what they're telling you. That we came from here. Okay, so that they start getting taller and taller, okay? As a result, that's what they're saying. And now let's look at the actual evidence of their evolutionary support. RD, actual bones found to support evolution. Yeah, these are the bones that they came up to draw this drawing. Can anybody come up this drawing by these bones? Well, that's what they did. And that's what they make. Oh, we must, since we have to be fitting this drawing, it must have looked like this on Harry. Did you find any hair? No, but they just draw hair anyhow. And this must be the bones to support RD. And this is true. This is true that this is what they use to prove evolution with these bones. Honestly, this is the honest truth. I'm not lying. Okay, now this is the famous one, Lucy. Lucy, this is the Lucy bones. Nothing complete. They cannot never find a perfect bone because it does not exist, or fossil records so far have never shown it. But they just come up with it, and maybe it looks like a monkey. So I don't know if it looks like a human or a monkey or whatnot, or we don't know. But they say, oh well, this must be Lucy, and well, it looks like human in a way. So yeah, this is it. So this is junk identifiable bones, and we have full dinosaur bones, bunch of them, but we have nothing of human ancestor. We have a bunch of full human bones, fossil records, and bunch of monkey bones, but we can never have a fully equipped one. Now, this is another pit down man. Okay, all the white parts are made up human. We made it up thinking this. I didn't make it up, but the scientists made it up saying that, oh yeah, we must have looked like this. Okay, and this is the actual bones, only few pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces, and the rest we made. And they said, oh yeah, this must be the evolution theory backup bones, and this is what you believe. Isn't it quite shocking that you believe these? Okay, this is another Java man. This is the actual bones that made up this drawing. Kind of looks like human, but they say, well, this is in between human and monkey. I definitely can find some people, but this is all made up. They just put flesh on top of it, and this just what they think that's how it looked like. From this to this. This white bone again is made up. This whole thing is made up. They only got the head part and the leg part. Again, that's Java man. Okay? This is what you guys use to prove evolution. I mean, there's no other lie. I mean, I'm not making this up. This is truth. Shocking? Well, let's go to the next one. Nebraska man. From this one tooth, they got this drawing. So, oh well, this tooth must be having these features that it must be Nebraska man because it has teeth look like this. Okay, but actually they found years later that this is from an American wild pig called Prosthenops that extincted. So this is not a human bone. So this got all scrapped as a result. But they used this to prove mankind that this tooth must be these prehistoric man's tooth. Amazing, right? And there's no other bones except this. And it's just a wild boar. Now, does this look like a human to you? Now, does this look like a human to you or not? It definitely does. It's an African American or African man in Africa. Well, Otabenga, he was captured in Africa, brought to the States, brought to Europe to support the evolution in 1904. They said this is the closest transitional link of ape to man. And this guy actually had a wife and kids, and he was caged like an animal, and he died in the cage. Sadly, his freedom was taken away. Yeah, I mean, today you say, oh, it's just a normal African man. I mean, how could you say this is What are you guys saying? Like Africans are related to monkeys? This is basically what they're saying because they took an African American and they say, oh, this must be a closest transition of a ape to man. Okay, and he had a wife and kids. Sad. And they just killed him in the jail. Okay, so we just covered these, and there's this Piton man. They said it was about 500,000 years old, and the fluorine testing found no fluorine, which means this Piton man bones were not older than a few thousand years. And they found that the jaw actually was just a gorilla skull jaw, and jaw of a gorilla skull of human, and this is a forgery. But this thing was in the Piton man was very famous. It was in the museum for 40 years, backing up evolution. And there's this Tong child in 1924. Later on, they just found it. Oh, it's just a young gorilla's bones, and they thought it was a human bone, or human ancestor bone. And Ramapithecus jawbone is just it was just a baboon. It's just baboon monkey kind bone. It's just a jawbone from a baboon. They found out, so they got rid of that. They scratched this, they scratched this, they scratched this, and Australopithecus, they found it was just an extinct monkey bone actually. So only a handful of bones and none complete found of this missing link. This is a missing link theory. Okay? So where are all these? It just came from, these drawings were from those previous bones that we looked. All these 4 or 5 bones were all those previous bones that some got disregarded as fake and some disregarded it as monkey bone, and that's what you guys still believe. I mean, don't you guys need to update the textbook? Because these are just from those bones that have pieces and pieces. It's not nothing complete. We have millions of these fossil records, but nothing of these. So yeah. So how do they determine the bone is a bone of ancestor of human? They look at this degree of skewedness. They calculate, okay, since this is this much skewed in this angle, so this is a monkey bone. This is how they seriously determine this is a monkey bone or a human bone, just by how crooked the teeth are coming out, portraying forward more than the eye sockets. So this is, oh, this must be a monkey, or this must be an ancestor of human. Okay, by how much the teeth are coming out. But actually, if you study these are real man, actually if you study this skewedness, this is actually more skewed than that, and there's this person is even more skewed. You have to understand that there's so much diversities of human skulls that some human skulls are actually like a monkey skull in a way, and this is not a good method to determine whether this bone was a monkey bone or not. Because there are these human bones that are in this shape already. Yeah, various shapes like this. Older people get these bones harder because the bones still grow even though you get old. On the eyebrow part, the bones still grows little by little. The cheekbone still grows little by little. As you get older and older, your bone still changes. And it's very impossible way, but they use it anyway. Okay, and now this is a Neanderthal skull. This is a normal human adult skull. This is very big compared to that. And they say, well, it's just because it's big, and so they drew. And this must be a Neanderthal adult, because we have this huge head bone here, and these are the pieces of other bones. And these bones are just drawings. They don't have this full skeleton, yet they drew it in your textbook as if it's real. But these drawings came from these rotten bones. Seriously. No joke. This is how serious I am. This is real. They drew this from this. Can you draw this from this? Is this scientific? Absolutely not. This is more like an imaginary. Okay, next. Bible does say there were giants in those days and also afterwards, and there are many giant bones that have been discovered that just never gets on the museums. Okay, there are a bunch of these bones, huge bones. There are even not only fossils and bones records, but they actually find paintings and drawings from various cultures. This is not the only thing. All over the place, all over. Bible even talks about a giant, King David fighting a giant named Goliath, which were about 13 feet tall or something like that. And these bones actually, they have the full scale bones that are this large size actually. And this is an ancient Egyptian drawing of a huge giant with a little. Of course, in the museums, they never put this on. In the museums, they never put these on at all. And this is an actual person finding these bones. And there are many other discoveries of these giant skeletons, 18 feet tall, strange skeletons found in the news. This is 1919. All over the history, the beach giant skulls unearthed by WAP workers near Victoria, these giant skulls, giant Indian bones found, giant skeleton found all over the news. There are millions. I couldn't just put in everything here because there's too much, but you can do your own research on Google, right? But these never get to. They send it to Smithsonian and all these museums, but they never see the light. They never get displayed because it goes against their theory. Okay, and then there's actual men who are giants, right? Because the Bible says there are giants in those days and afterwards, and still it's been true that there are many giants over the history. Okay, so why does giant bones don't get displayed in museums? Number one, they don't know what to do with them because it breaks the evolution theory, but rather proves the Bible creation because the Bible talks about their giants. And most scientists, biologists are atheists, not the other scientists. You know, so they don't like this giant bones being discovered. They don't know where to put, so they get destroyed or hidden away. Smithsonian's and museums, are skulls and bones Illuminati. They don't like Bible. They don't like God. So they don't want to prove the Bible is true. So deceptively, they don't allow this. They just okay, this great discovery, and they just hide it away. They just I don't know what they do with it really. They just destroy it or hide it away. Okay, because it doesn't fit in here, giants. It doesn't fit in this picture. They need to keep this going on to to make people believe and accept that evolution is true. So since they need to get this on, the giants don't fit in here. They don't fit in these picture. They don't know what to do with ancient giant bones. They don't know what to do with them. Now, Bible does agree with partial evolution, but up to its kind or size. Okay, what do you mean? Like it talks about dog kind, cat kind, It talks about, yeah, it evolves. The dog gets a little bit bigger and smaller or different color or different shape, but they are still dog kind. And the size, dog size changes. Like dog, there's a bunch of different dog kinds, right? But this dog kind does not become a cat kind or does not become a other, elephant kind or whatever. It does not evolve to those things. That's what Bible proves. Bible talks about. But so Bible does generally agree with the general evolution up to kind. So let's see. Genesis 1:1, God said, let the earth bring forth grass, the herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after its kind. So again, it talks about kind. It only yields fruit according to its kind. It does not go after. Whose seed is in itself upon the earth. And it was so. And the earth brought forth grass and herb yielding seed after its kind, and the tree yielding fruit whose seed was in itself after his kind. Evolution talks about evolving of a creature, but it can never explain why these creatures bear seeds and offsprings. Why does these trees produce offspring? Well, creationism, well, it's because God made it that way. That God commanded to bear seeds and to multiply after its own kind and to produce offspring, Okay, and and God programmed the tree to bear fruit, so in it has seed of itself, so after its own kind. And God created great whales and every living creature that moves, which the waters brought forth abundantly, after their kind, and every winged fowl after his kind. So he created birds, and after their kinds, the birds, had their kinds, and um, every animal had their kinds, and it produced, multiplied its own kind creatures. So it does not mean that cat can become like a flying cat, but variation of skin color, getting tan to changing color to be, like as how humans have black, white, Asian, and all these kind of things. It talks about variation of, but they're all humans. You know, it never can become a human monkey or monkey to human. Monkeys can have their own different kinds, but they're all monkeys. So shaped to an extent, and not the kind changing from a rat to a dog, for example. Okay, so everybody clear? Okay, now gender and multiplying. Now, male. There's a thing called male and female. Okay, in evolution, we are created from one cell germ, and we became a bigger creature, and then we start multiplying, and then out of a sudden the germs start thinking, well, I want to divide and have become a male and female and have children all of a sudden, and they want to bear eggs, and eggs to have their own children. So this evolution does not go with, evolution cannot prove or think of anything about male and female. Why is there male and female? Why there's sex organs to have sex and to multiply and to make offspring? It's not explainable, because isn't evolution just a selfish creature, just got created out of nowhere by accident, or over time just got created and started evolving, and then usually if a creature like that came up, it should just become fat and ugly by itself and should die by itself. It should not think about, oh well, I want to multiply myself, or I want to make children and have my other children. It doesn't get explained why evolution creates male and female. So if evolution is true, then a creature when dividing must think to create firstly a female. If a germ, or let's say a rat or something, I don't think it can go up to that far, but a rat, let's say, oh, I want a female. So well, how can you create a female? Well, I have to think and make these sex organs first in my body, and this creature must think to create a female. Its sex organs, male and female organs, creation of sperm and egg, and development of sperm and egg by trials and trials and millions of trials. They must have to have this sex organs created and successfully working in order to produce. But millions of organisms create these things without any problem. So how did these millions of organisms just have this function in their body, or how did they create, have a baby in them and start producing offsprings, right? It has to, the creature must think to multiply, and to creating a uterus, the sperm, the egg, to meeting the whole process, and so on. You understand, how a baby forms. Well, a male's sperm needs to meet a female's egg, and in order for them to meet, they need to fall in love and to have sex and to have this baby inside the female. And these organs must be all designed and to have it come out. Well, it can never be explainable by evolution, because it just doesn't make sense, because evolution is a very slow process. That's why it takes millions of years. But before millions and millions of years, there's these creatures. The longest living creature, is about maybe 1,000 years old, if anything. You understand? And in this 1,000 years, this creature have to develop this whole working process and be successful with this. There are no fossil records backing this up ever. They need to learn how to multiply, and they need to how to create their own identity on each of these individual animals and these individual characteristics developing inside the genes and so on and so on. So how many development tries tries are needed to have this complete? Quadrillions, because all organisms have sex organs and have the ability to multiply. They must have had quadrillions and quadrillions and quadrillions of tries and successes and failures and successes and failures. But no living creature is by itself, and they all have offsprings, and no living creatures are known to have its own uniqueness without an egg and a parents. So none are without parents, and no living creature is by itself, just getting fat and ugly and old and just dying by itself. There's nothing like that. Everything multiplies, and everything either has male or female or has asexual animals. We'll cover that later, okay? So that's the theory. Here we go. Now, this is from your textbooks. This is what they prove. So, okay, these fishes that were in the sea, start developing, these strong muscles on their legs to crawl on the land, because they start developing legs to crawl. You understand? So they start jumping on the land and start crawling. And as they crawled and went back into the water, crawl, went back into the water, crawl, went back into the water, thousands of years and thousands of millions of years, they start developing legs as a result. And these leg creatures now became land animals as a result. Okay, and they're just saying that these animals are these lynx, And this coelacanth is a 360 million years ago fish. Okay, and they have these fossils to prove it. Oh, well, we have this fossil. It's 360 million years ago fish. Remember this number, okay? And this 360 million is about here. Okay, it's from the beginning of time. It's from the almost close to the beginning of time of creatures. Okay? Now, voila, what is this? Some fishermen found this fish called coelacanth. And so they researched that area, and they found the coelacanth actually is a fish that's still alive today. It does not crawl on land as they thought it would, because they seemingly have a strong fins. It does not go on the land. It just stays in the water, and just has fins, and and it's a 360 million year old fish that did not change or evolve at all. It's still the same. Wait a minute. Doesn't evolution teach, didn't it teach this, that it evolved into some creatures, and that they thought this was extinct, so this became this and this? What happened to this? So this thing gets scrapped. Okay, well, whatever. Right? Well, anyway, we like to say that, this is not the real reason for evolution, right? Well, I don't even know what can this mean? What can this mean? That this fish is still alive. Well, evolution didn't happen for 360 million years. Well, you could say, well, that's just one of the fish that probably didn't change. Okay, well, we can buy that. Okay, well, evolution never happened for this fish. Okay, let's move on. What about this? Arapaima, they said this fish was 350 million years ago fish. And they found it in Amazon, still kicking alive. They say this sawfish is 150 million years ago, because they have all these, fossils, still kicking alive. Sturgeon, 150 million years ago, still kicking alive in these countries. They're not rare, but they're still alive. Alligator gar, 100 million years ago, still being caught. And this is a real photo. And this is a real photo. Everything is real. And these are all still searchable and still findable in these countries. Hagfish, 300 million years ago, still alive. Polypus stenogus, Arona Jurassic period, 199 million years ago, still alive. What? Number one, they didn't evolve? What happened to the evolution theory? Why are these fishes did not change one bit? What happened to evolution? And these are really, really ancient fish that found in ancient fossils. They didn't evolve? They didn't change? What, is the fossil calculated time wrong? Or, they just didn't evolve, guys. Evolution was not true to begin with. It was not. It was just a theory. It's just people's guess. Okay, theory is just a story. It's just guess. Next. Frill shark Cretaceous period, 195 million years ago. Well, we found them. Still kicking alive. Nothing changed with these frilled, whatever, shark teeth. Lancaster's fish, again, another 90 million plus zeros still being caught as this young kid caught. Oh, it looks cool. It must be a prehistoric creature with these crazy teeth, but it's still alive. Now, Nautilus Pompey, 400 million years ago, still alive today. Yeah, they found it. Yeah, they really, did this one, right? Still alive, unchanged. Well, that's weird. Horseshoe crab, 450 million years ago. This is almost close to the beginning of time. Still alive, unchanged. Nothing changed. It's still alive. These are not fake photos. These are real photos. I mean, giant river stingray, 199 million years ago, still alive. They're still being caught here and there in these Cambodia or these countries. Goblin shark, they found in Japan and everywhere. 100 million years ago fish, nothing changed. Now, this 552 to 600 million years ago, trilobite. This is a real photo that they found in Iceland or close to Antarctica region waters. From the beginning of time, what happened to evolution? These are these. Oh, well, this very old photo, and now they found the trilobite for the first time. What happened to evolution? It didn't evolve? Huh? Was it not true? What, it didn't evolve? Of course it didn't. Well, we'll show you. We'll prove to you. Remember, the beginning of time, Cambrian is 542 million years ago, and here's this trilobites and all these, shell creatures, that we found. What I'm saying, that these creatures are still there existing. And I say, well, it must be a miracle. They must have never got deleted, or that's what they say. But this is not true. If evolution is true, these creatures have to have changed. I mean, changed a lot. But they didn't. They're saying. Is the animals alone? No. They're trees. Modern day magnolia tree, and comparing to dinosaur era magnolias. Do you see any difference? To me, it's about the same thing. What about feather stars? Again, millions of years, dinosaur era, still kicking away in Germany. They found these. Of course, dragonflies, million years ago, dinosaur era dragonflies, still same, nothing changed. These crickets, dinosaurs, these scorpion flies, same. Same today as yesterday, or million, billion years ago, whatever they want to say. Ground lizards, yeah, same. Dinosaur era lizard. Do you see any difference? No, it's just the same thing. Hellbender, whatever. Dinosaur era salamanders, still same. But you're wondering, what about this Archaeopteryx? Because this bird pushed evolution to be true. They said this bird was found millions of years ago, and this is a bird that has teeth, and it has claws. So this must be from a link from a lizard to a bird, or like a dinosaur lizard, jumping, start developing wings, and it became, they drew this, of course it's not a real picture, and it became this creature, Because first reason, they have claws. Okay, like a dinosaur. It looks like a claw, right, on the bird wing. Look at these things carefully because I'll prove it to you what I'm gonna be proving to you soon. And there are these teeth right here. Very tiny teeth. Okay, you can barely kind of see there are tiny teeth. There's because, and they say this is the link to evolution. Well, let's go on. Okay, another one, Microraptor. They call it Microraptor like a dinosaur raptor, we know. So this Microraptor is a small raptor. This must be a evolution link, missing link, of a raptor turning into a bird. Okay? Because, why? Because there's these raptor-like claws, and again, these birds have these kind of claws in the wings. And this doesn't have teeth, by the way, just a bird-like thing. So if they have claws and if they have claws and if they have like a raptor like a claw, does this mean this is a missing link to a lizard becoming a bird? Interesting. Well, voila, here we go. Actually, a lot of birds that people did not know. They thought it was just a beak. Actually, a bunch of birds have teeth. Goose have teeth, a duck has teeth, and this other sea creatures have, I mean, not sea creatures, these birds have teeth, very sharp teeth too, by the way. And now they found this bird called Watson. They found this recently, living in a South America region, or I'm not sure exactly where, but they found this. And this bird has claws. Actually, a lot of birds have claws in their wings. Wing area. This claws looks exactly like the claws that they found in Microraptor or this Archaeopteryx that they try to make it sound like this is very archaic. They found it on this bird. We'll go through this. And this is another different bird that just have these kind of claws, And this claw is actually a claw of an eagle. Eagle's claw look like almost close to this raptor, Microraptor claw. It's very similar. Okay, does mean eagle is a lizard? Right. So this is another bird that has claws. As you see these claws, and actually a lot of birds have claws on their wings. They didn't know, but they have. I actually see this bird have another claws. You see these claws under their wings. And this looks like the exact thing. And this is that Watson bird that has exactly looking claws in the wings because it uses to grab onto trees. Okay, as it grows up, it grabs onto trees. It lives among the trees. It like kind of lives like a monkey. But where's a monkey like hands developing? No, but you have a claw. That this bird uses. Okay, if you look at closely, there's these claws that this was a close-up of a picture, and these claws, their bones look exactly like the Archaeopteryx bird claws. What happened? They say this link got deleted because this bird transitioned into modern day birds. But modern day birds still have this. So it really totally debunks this theory that this thing was a missing in between link to the transition up to the modern day birds. But modern day birds have the same features as this one. And how big are these birds? Yeah, here's how big is your Archaeopteryx compared to a man. Very tiny small. It's a wingspan, not even a 1 meter. Now there's your Microraptor that must be a small raptor, you see. How big is this? It's not even 1 meter. Okay, they are just birds that went extinct, nothing more. And they use this to prove evolution, and everybody believes. Well, it's about time that the textbooks start changing. Well, this is not the only proof. If this is the only proof, that evolution is not true, I wouldn't make this. Okay, now Archaeopteryx was a bird because has a bird-like skull, teeth, and jaw. It's just exactly like a bird. It has wings and has flight features just like a bird. It has robust wishbones and claws for climbing. It has a bird-like pelvis. It has a perching feet, like a bird. It has a hollow bones like the birds, have hollow bones, as you know. And no other lizards have hollow bones, just the birds have hollow bones. It has long tail for stability. It has air sac respiratory system. It's not a bird that jump around from, you know, tree to bottom. It's actually a real bird. It has real flight features that it can fly. Okay, so it's a real. It was just a bird, guys. So this theory of this missing link is actually this. This is a true picture. There is no link. There is no link. It just everything is individual because everything was created. We'll go through more of that. Okay, what about the asexual animals? Remember I mentioned to you about this? What about the asexual animals? Evolution say, well, asexual animals must be the link to us having babies and eggs or something like that, okay? So there are some asexual animals that, like for example, like a starfish is like a group of these kind of microscopic creatures, or that just evolves. I mean, that's if a part gets cut, it cuts its part away, and then those things make another starfish. And these parts, the legs get cut off away by itself, and these parts become another starfish. Okay, these mushrooms also grow from like that, and there are these bacteria that don't have sex and just multiplies by itself. It just does multiplication. So they have no sex. Okay, and there are these fishes that changes its sex from a female to a male in order for if there's no male around, it changes its sex. That's what they say. Okay, and proven true. And there are these lizard that changes its sex. If there's no too much females, it creates a male, or vice versa. Okay. So how does it go? See, exactly, they still all multiply, and if evolution was true, then they still need to learn how to create another individual from itself. They need to learn how to do cell division, how to divide a. They need to come up with how to divide a DNA into two parts and to do all the nucleuses. All the process needs to be thought out and to be practiced and to be trained. You cannot just jump from one thing onto another that fast. Everything takes a long time of process in order for this to happen if evolution was true. Now, how to produce offspring and reproduction must be thought out, like cutting off the leg, like the starfish cut off the leg and then it starts growing into other parts. These parts creation must be all thought out and must be programmed. Okay? They must have to go through and experimenting and testing with trials and errors millions and millions of times to learn how to divide. And by that time, they will likely have died and not produce any successful offspring. But I mean, you need to push evolution. So somehow they survived and made a successful division, is what evolution needs to push through. It's almost impossible. It's almost impossible. Because as we know, evolution does not happen in 1-2 years or 10 years or 100 years. Evolution, it takes millions of years. By the time millions of years for this evolution to happen, those creatures likely died and never had a successful offspring to begin with. You have to understand, before they got to produce these egg producing system. Okay? Now, interesting, I was doing Bible study and I could not find that God created male and female for creatures. God said, multiply to creatures, but never said male and female. But God only said male and female to humans, for example. And God blessed them, saying, be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters in the seas, and let the fowls multiply on earth. But I cannot find anything that God created these animals male and female. I was like, why is it not there? but it talks about specific gender only to mankind. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created them. Male and female, he created them. You know why there is no talk about male and female in Bible? Because they're asexual creatures like bacteria, fungus, which as we all saw those, fungus-like creatures, and it arises from a single parent alone. But nobody knew about this, that they were asexual animals until 1900s, because they started doing animal studies. They did not know about this fact. This Genesis was written 5,000 years ago, and is very accurately describing, it's only multiplied to creatures, because if God said, "Oh, be male and female," then this Bible needs to be thrown out. But in these detailed Bible is this accurately describing these things, okay? And of course, only God knew, because he created them. He had written it, be fruitful and multiply, and he didn't say be male and female to animals, only to humans. Okay? So this is showing how accurate the Bible description is about creation. They say, "Oh, this is a story." No, it's not a story. It's actually very accurate and scientific.
Comparing human and chimpanzee DNA. Scientists say that our genes differ only about 2% with that of a chimpanzee. First, let's explain some more about DNA. There are lots of things that can be explained about it, but let's focus on the part needed to understand this subject. The building blocks of DNA are called nucleotides, and there are 4 types of them: guanine, adenine, cytosine and thymine. Guanine and cytosine fit nicely together, and adenine and thymine fit nicely together. Together they form base pairs. Those base pairs form strings of codes. Lots of codes. In fact, the human DNA is as much as a full CD of data, but then wrapped up in a tiny cell. So small that you can't even see it. The strings are wrapped up in small spirals, and those spirals form chromosomes. A human being has 23 chromosome pairs. A chimpanzee has 24 chromosome pairs. The extra chromosome pair is because the human chromosome 2 consists of 2 smaller chromosomes in the chimpanzee. How does DNA change? Well, first let's see how DNA copies. A tiny thing called a helicase opens up the base pairs just like a zipper. Then another tiny thing called a polymerase makes new DNA in such a way that they form new base pairs. In the end, there are 2 strings of DNA that are exactly identical. Sometimes little changes occur, which are called mutations. There are different types of mutations. The first type is an insertion. A piece of DNA comes from somewhere and it gets itself included within the DNA string. The second type is the deletion. A piece of DNA gets out of the genome and is deleted from the string. Insertions and deletions together are called indels. The last type of mutation is a substitution. A piece of code gets itself replaced by another piece of code. So finally we get to the point. How do scientists compare the DNA? First we need to align the DNA, since they are not exactly the same. In this example we have found an indel. We don't know if it's an insertion or a deletion, so we just call it an indel. Some scientists consider this not aligned data, and so they remove it. Here we find a substitution, and that is what is called the difference between human and chimpanzee DNA. We can express this in code, and computer programs can do this operation very quickly. In this example, we got 100 base pairs aligned. The result is that 98 of these base pairs are similar, so only 2 of them differ. And since we have 100 base pairs aligned, we can just put a percentage sign behind it in this example. But to get to that answer, we have first removed 23 indels for the human DNA and 10 indels for the chimp DNA. Remember, indels are always different. So in reality we have an average of about 16% extra difference for this example. Does it really work like that? The answer is yes. All scientists in this field know how to align DNA. Some scientists do include indels, however there are also large parts of DNA that cannot be aligned at all. Those parts are usually skipped. This gives three ways of looking at the data. The first way is to compare only the part that can be aligned excluding indels. The second way includes the indels. The third way is to count the letters in the entire code. Here's a list of scientists who have reported very high percentages of similarity. The first did not include indels, the others only analyzed a very small section of the genome. Britain in 2002 analyzed 846,000 base pairs, managed to align almost 780,000 of them, and reported a DNA similarity of 95.2%. But this means 8% unalignable data had been removed first. Ebersberger et in the same year analyzed over 3 million base pairs, got almost 2 million of them aligned and reported 98.8% similarity. But apparently 35% was too different to align. Chimp chromosome 22 consortium reported 98.5% DNA similarity, and the amount of removed data was between 15 to 20% of the investigated genome. In 2005, scientists managed to analyze 2.8 billion base pairs, which is actually the entire genome of the human and chimp. They got 2.4 billion base pairs aligned and reported a similarity of 95.8%. But again, 60% was too different to align and thus removed before analysis. Conclusion. Excluding indels, the similarity is about 98.5%. Excluding unalignable data, the similarity is about 95.8%. In reality, the similarity is less than 81%. So the next time you see claims that we have 99 or 96% DNA similarity, even told by very reliable sources like National Geographic or in your local museum, you know what it means. Comparing human and chimpanzee DNA, only 2% difference? That's how they know.
Okay, so to simplify what they've been just told you, let me just go over. Let's say a dog code and binary digits is 0 like this, okay? And let's say a fish code is like this. Fish and dog are absolutely different words, right? And they're different animal, they're different words. Totally, this DOG, this FISH is totally different. But it looks similar. It does look similar. Do you agree? It looks similar. See, it's all similar here. So I pulled out the similar code of the binary and made it green. And the differences is in black and red. Okay? So what they did is they deleted indel. They call it indel. They deleted this whole bunch because you cannot even line up, right? So this is a junk code. Let's throw this out. Is it really junk code? Does have no meaning. But anyway, they just throw this out because they don't understand. And since even then, one more digit is there, so delete this. Delete this. Let's match up these 1 together, 1 together, and 0 together. So let's match these up. So let's delete that too, and let's delete that too. Because it's not the same. If you want to compare like that, so you delete these 2 red dots, and we come up with this. When you delete all the reds out, you're left with these. Okay? Oh, so this is same, and just these 3 out of whatever is different, and 20 out of 23 are the same. So if you do the calculation, oh, they're 87% same. You see, this 80% same because 20 out of 23 must be 87. Really? Yeah, but this is how exactly they calculate it. So, any complaints, you complain to them. Okay? Now, if you really want to do a real correlation, if there's a math called correlation, following if there is any relationship between these at all, the fish and the dog code, okay? If there's any correlation, you also need to match it up the same way. You have to match it up, and you have to also delete this part again. It's not a total matchup. it's not a total true correlation because it's a set of data that is different. But anyhow, you delete it, and even if you did a correlation and one is being a perfect correlationship, if you run the number, correlation of fish and dog is only 0.579. So it talks about whether is there any relationship between these two, and it's only 0.579. Okay, this number, so we can say, okay, it's about what, 57.9% same. But in reality, it's not the same because you have to take out this and there's no way to correlate each other. So fish and dog meaning is related? No, of course, it's nonsense. It's nonsense, okay? It's basically comparing a DNA of a monkey to human is like comparing the Curious George book to autobiography of Einstein. Okay, it's very thick, it's comparing these two. Okay, are they same books? Yeah, they're same books, but are they same thing? No, they're absolutely different story. The content is totally different. All right, this is basically what you're doing, and that's what it is. Now, humans, we wanted to fly from the beginning of time. Everybody wanted to dream to fly, so they start, drawing, they trying experimenting over thousands of years until around 1800s. The first flight was ever done, and they always made all these drawings and oh yeah, we had some flight with some bubble balloon, and we flew, but real flight. We wanted to fly like a bird, and we weren't able to do for 5,000 years or 6,000 years or I don't know how long, you know. So anyhow, and this is a modern day design of a. Literally, this is not a modern day design, but it's an old plane, and they use this Bernoulli's principle. They developed this principle that the air is just airflow. The wing is like this. Of course, they copied it from a bird's wing, and they figured it out. But anyway, they figured it out. So we need to design the wing in this way in order to have any kind of flight. Okay, and then you'd have a less pressure, and there's a slow moving air and a fast moving air on the top, and there's more pressure and it makes it fly. Okay, and it took long time to come up with these theories and to design these things, right? It was not done, and it's not like we have wings on our back, okay? And no one agrees that this flight was done just by a few tries, okay? Nobody agrees that, right? It's done by thousands of tries and thousands of experiments. Probably, that took 5,000, 6,000 years to come up with this, okay? And yet, how did the birds have perfect flight law built into its wings? And also insects have variety of ways of flying. As we know, their wings are also different from a bird wing. Okay, so let's study about a bird wing. So it has all these different feathers. The feathers are not even the same. It's all different. There's a huge big feathers, turtle feathers here. There's all these tiny feathers covering. The top feather, the middle cover, the lesser feathers, the scapula, the greater turtle covers, and there are these primary feathers. Each one is also different, not the same shape. It's different length, different design, okay? And then it moves back and forth. And inside the bird's arm, the muscles have to be designed. There's a puller muscle that folds it, and there's these power muscles that need to be aligned in such certain way that it can flap the right way in order to fly well. There's these biceps needed to pull these, and it's very complex, and these feathers are like this. Moreover, if you look at the feather, it's very, very light, very, very lightweight, and they are more perfectly designed, more detailed than any kind of cloth. This is a microscopic view of it. This is like a quilt, but much more detailed than a quilt, and this had to be made from the flesh itself. This feather need to be grown out of a flesh. How long do you think the evolution took for a feather to be grown out of the flesh? We're not just playing here. This is a real scientific design. I mean, and these bones are, by the way, hollow inside. They're hollow, and they're not like our bones that are filled with stuff. It's empty inside here. If you look, bird's bones are empty inside and it needed the maximum strength to not break easily, but they had to be hollowed enough so that they can fly. And as you see, the wingspan, I mean, the design of this wing is you can fold it, you can flap it, you have to flap it and move the muscle, need to push it this way, the muscle need to pull it back again and push it away. The muscles sometimes push the wings and fold it in a way. It's like those Japanese, Chinese fans that you fold out. Yeah, it folds in, fold out that way. Everything is aligned exactly so it falls one to one, everything together to be folded in this manner. Okay, we tried that with an airplane wings, right? We tried. Does it look? That's how an airplane when it folds its wing. This is how a bird. I like to say it's God's creation. When it folds its wing, it looks beautiful, beautiful like a gentleman looking. But when it needs to be opened up, it opens up like as a majestic manner. Does this look like majestic to you? Folding compared to this? Obviously not. Even though they have a stronger whatever propellers and stuff, and it takes way less energy for a bird to fly than for a airplane. By the way, and the when it needs to go speedy, the wings are folded, in a way, and the modern day airplanes are copied, and some wings of the airplane do fold now like this in this kind of manner to go faster when needs to go faster. But it was already designed, and there's this tail to control the movement up and down and stuff like that. Okay, to turn the directions and whatnot. I mean, everything had to be designed. Do you not agree? And there's these legs, to grab the prey, that is aiming for, and it needs a strong beak look like. And the modern day airplanes were designed after the birds. And do you not agree that? I mean, okay. So evolution, saying just jumping a lot and a lot of trash automatically makes a light hollow bones and wings enough to propel itself and to have a successful flight. Does it even make sense when humans had to think it out and everything? I mean, automatically coming up, just by a long time of hard tries, the animal just jump, 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 and let me just develop strong wings over millions of years. Do they even think it had a same purpose? I mean, like, come on, millions of years. I mean, they say developed, but really, really. Wings just started to grow out of animals in such a perfect way that it's all foldable. It's all, and it's all like quilted in a way like a built out of a factory. Much more finer than a finest clothing. By the way, this quilt is quilted in a way that is produced much more finer than a factory can ever produce from our clothing. Okay, this is no way comparable to human-made clothing material. Okay, this is truly out of this world design. It even has collars in there that grows by itself. The collars just color the feathers. I mean, you see the design of the collar here. Every single collar. I mean, every single quilt and collar is a total design. Do you not agree? This is a design. I mean, and every single bird is, by the way, different and perfectly well designed. Look at this coolness, right? I mean, everything is designed, but evolution said, "Oh, it's just a Mother Nature. It's a miracle. It's a miracle." Oh wow, scientists believe in miracles. Wow, that's kind of strange, but that's what they say. Okay, it's a miracle, Mother Nature wonder. Okay, yeah, okay, fine. Whatever you say. This is what evolution teaches. Anyway, animals just automatically, without a design, have this perfect eyes and combination, perfectly working to see properly. I mean, we have, we heard eagle eyes. Eagle eyes can see far, 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 like kilometers distance, and their eyes are just, I don't know, just perfectly working together in combination. And they give credit to Mother Nature. I would rather say this is God. It's not Mother Nature, it's God, And they just want to take out religion. So they say, oh yeah, Mother Nature, yeah, okay, it sounds pretty good. Okay, this is the eye of a mosquito. You see, this each one is an eyeball that needs to grow out from its own flesh. Okay, and has perfect design. It has perfect each amount of numbers, like hundreds of eyes on each one, and these hundreds of lenses, needs to be wired in a way that produces one image so that the mosquito can understand. Oh yeah, this is a flesh. Oh, this is not. And these eyes are also thermal eyes. They can detect heat. They just don't detect movement, but they detect heat as well. So they see you in a heat form, and so I mean, their eyes are really, really, really designed in a way that Mother Nature just popped up the what? Mother Nature says, oh, evolution says, oh, it just popped up one eye, and then one eye maybe not enough, and so it's all multiplying in such a fashion that is so round. When you see, it looks like one eyeball, but it's actually thousands of eyes in one eye, and that it's all cameras, in one eyeball. And I don't know. I don't even know how to bring this up. And it's in such a design that this thing also detects other things, movements and whatnot. It detects, these are like antennas that can detect movement. I mean, it's a machinery basically, because you have antennas to detect, I don't know, some waves or heat or anything like that. Okay, I don't know what it does, smell or whatever. Anyhow, so anyway, even a mosquito is designed in such a perfect way. Okay, now DNA has about 5,000 dictionary book size books or bunch of letters. Each one is like, letters, and has about 5,000 dictionary books length of information written in them. Okay, there's about 5,000 books here, about 5,000 books, and dictionary books are usually thick and has about, this much books of information in DNA. Now, our science also is amazing, right? Don't you think it's amazing to put a bunch of information and books into this tiny little microchip? Okay, this tiny little microchip, in our 2001, we could store about 640 books in this chips. Okay, in 2004, it multiplied. We were able to put 20,000 books. And in 2015, 100 million books in a small chip size. It's very, very incredible, right? Now, let me ask you a question. How about DNA? Can you even see DNA here? No, actually, DNA cannot even be seen. Okay? The DNA cannot even be seen. Okay, well, this drawing, right? It's not a drawing. It's a picture of a pin magnified. It's a household pin tip. This is a tip of a pin. Okay, even a pin looks very sharp. And in human eye, if you magnify it, it looks like a mountain, like a giant mountain. Okay, and then what is attached here is living organisms, like bacteria. Okay, there's a bacteria, and the DNA is in these bacteria, like bunch of them in the bacteria. Okay, remember the size. Okay, DNA cannot even be seen even in this magnified pin nail. Okay, that's how small DNA is. All right, DNA with the same size of this can store about, you see the number. Okay, let me show the number, like 100 million we can put in. Well, 20 trillion books. Okay, let's just make it simple. 20 trillion books, and our number was around here. Okay, and anyhow, that's the difference between design of God and design of man. Okay, that's a difference. Here we go. So yeah, that was a pin, and that was a pin tip, and these bacteria, are having a football party, or they can even have a whole Olympic over here. Okay, and this is pin up top tip of a pin, magnified. Okay, and the DNA still cannot even be seen in this bacteria. It's probably like a dot size in here. Okay, that's how small it is. That containing 5,000 books of information. Okay, this is our needle. Okay, this is a brand new needle, very sharp, right? Modern the needles, we make it really sharp. It's a new needle. And if you use a needle once, it starts, getting bad. And if you use a needle twice, it gets much worse. The needle used 6 times, it even bends, and it's not as sharp anymore, okay? Now, this is a needle of a bee. Okay, this is a needle of a bee, and this is a needle head. As you see, even the strings, as I told you, the quilt, the strings looks really good, doesn't it? But this is the current condition of man's ability to create the quilt of this horrible looking texture. Okay, if you magnify the string, it looks like this. It's messy. It's very messy. It's not quilted like the feather was. It's very messy. Okay, I believe it's a sharp needle. This is a needle. Okay, it looks kind of dingy, but this needle of a bee is very, very fine, and it was self-produced inside its own factory. Okay, it's by its own flesh. It was created. First, God designed it, and you can poke this needle several times, and it does not break. It does not, become like this, ugly. You can poke this several times, and it still works fine. And it's covered. It has a covering. It oils itself. I mean, I don't know, blood flows in this veins inside. I mean, it's a very, very high, delicate design. It has even these, I don't know what it's used for, but when you inject stuff, it has these special design. I mean, you say this is evolution, when you inject so it doesn't, mess up, when it's poking through. Okay, it's not like just straight line. It's not just a sharp cut. Okay, it has the purpose of these things so that it goes and plunges in well. All right, and then it can be probably locked in if you want it to. It can lock itself in there. Okay, these are these locks. Evolution? I don't think so. This is a total design. This is total design. Again, it's not one. It's actually two combined. We thought it was one, but it's actually two. So the poison or whatever can flow in between these things like a pen, end of a pen. Evolution? I don't think so. Okay, so the poison, of the bee can be transferred in between this. Get it? Okay. Now this is very long. I'm not gonna read it all, but yeah, now we're gonna talk about dinosaurs. Very exciting subject. Bible says dinosaur-like creatures existed with man. Man says, no, it didn't, right? Remember, it was extinct, 150 million years ago? That's what evolutionists say, or biologists, or whatever archaeologists say. All right? Now, but the Bible has description of dinosaur. They didn't have this name called dinosaur because this word dinosaur did not come until 1800s, 1900s, okay? They had words in the Bible that says Leviathan, Behemoth, or flying serpent. We know there's like flying dinosaurs. Okay, so they had these names. If you read Job 1, they talk about, behold, Behemoth, which I made as I made you, which I made as I made you. He eats great grass like an ox. Behold, his strength is in his loins, and his power in the muscles of his belly. He makes his tail stiff like a cedar tree. Okay, the sinews of his thigh are knit together. His bones are tubes of bronze. His limbs like bars of iron. He's the first of the works of God. He's the first creations of God, and God made it very perfectly well. And let him who made him bring near his sword, for the mountains yield food for him, where all the wild beasts play. Under the lotus plant he lies, in the shelter of the reeds, and in the marsh he lives in the water. Okay, so some people thought there's a hippopotamus a long time ago, but it's not. For his shade of the lotus tree cover him, the willows and brooks surround him. Behold, if the river is turbulent, the river is like turbulent, like he is not even afraid because he's big. He is confident, though Jordan rushes against his mouth. Can one take him by his eyes or pierce his nose with the snare? Nobody, because it's big. Can you draw a Leviathan with a fish hook or press down his tongue with a cord? Of course not, because it's huge. Can you put a rope in his nose or pierce his jaw with a hook? Will he make many pleas to you? Will he plead with you? Well, it's like, oh, please don't. Will he speak to you soft words? Will he make a covenant with you to take him for your servant forever? No. Will you play with him as a bird, or will you put him as a leash for your girls? Will traders bargain over him? No. Will they divide up among the merchants? Can you fill his skin with harpoof, his head with fishing spears? Lay your hands on, remember the battle. You will not do it again. Behold, the hope of man is false. False. He is laid low even at the sight of him. Okay, even if this creature looks at him, a man is afraid because this is a huge animal. Okay, it has a tail like a cedar tree. All right. Anyhow, was dinosaurs existing with men? I would like to think so because there's all these drawings and people who obviously knew this kind of dinosaurs existing. Okay, did they dig the ground and imagine? I don't think so. Okay, so they were mentioned that dinosaurs were known as dragons back in the day, and dragons were in every single culture they had dragon stories or dragons. Okay, and this looks like a you know what this looks like. Okay, you know dinosaurs, right? It's a water living dinosaur. I don't know the name. They put all these crazy names, so I don't want to memorize them. Anyhow, so yeah, there. It's not just few of these are found. Okay, these are found almost everywhere. This dinosaur is pictured as picking up a human, and obviously trying to eat him or something. And this is a drawing, old drawing from Australia. These people who live there draw a huge dinosaur, and inside there's another dinosaur inside the belly, and inside that there's a human-looking thing inside, and they're hunting it or they're gathering around. I don't know, hunting it or burning or kicking. I'm not sure what they're doing, but they're hunting another dinosaur-looking thing. And there are millions of these. Actually, there's like so many of these that it's impossible to collect all of these. But there are drawings of dinosaurs and people. I don't know what they look like, snakes over here, but it looks like a dinosaur-looking thing that has fire spitting out from his mouth. Another dinosaur thing, looking thing. Okay, and there's another dinosaur. People trying to riding the dinosaur. And look at this. This is Inca stones. Okay, these stones were found in Inca, and there are like hundreds and hundreds of these, like thousands of these stones that have dinosaur drawings all over. I mean, this looks like Jurassic Park, doesn't it? Yet they have it in there, and man made it before the evolution theory. So, they had all these. Look at the detail of these drawings. I mean, these drawings were not just guess drawings. Okay, they must have seen a bird looking like dinosaur flying. One with these. We know all these dinosaurs, right? Did you ever study? Okay, so there are hundreds and hundreds of these stones that depict the dinosaur. It's not just one, and they're seen capturing human, or either the humans are hunting them or riding on these. They're just and okay, these are found in Mexico area. Yeah, people made objects, and they even find out that, oh, actually this dinosaur, the tail is straight instead of bent, and they did a lot of studies on these things that ancient people have made. Okay, how do they know these? How did they know? They must have existed together with man. And also another from another different centuries, another different places in the earth. They all have these. Okay, now there's a mosaic drawing about 1000 AD. It's a famous mosaic that is done. And guess what? This part around here. Oh, look at this part is magnified. It's a dinosaur, and people are apparently hunting it. There are all kinds of animals here, by the way. It's like look like a zoo. This looks like there are alligators here and stuff like that. Oh, wait a minute. What is this? What is this animal doing here? It has a long tail. Definitely look like a lizard or a dinosaur. Like a huge scale wise, it's pretty big. It's like a human size or bigger than human size, right? And just a dinosaur. Okay, so Tricep. This temple was built in 18th century. Okay, in I forget, Cambodia or something like that. Um, I'm not exactly sure, but it's some temple. Okay, and the temple has this triceptors, and this is another um, depict another made thing that shows that this I forgot the name of this dinosaur, triceptors or something. Yeah, and this is Babylonian. Okay, it has a tongue like a snake, but it's another type of dinosaur. Okay, and there's a bunch of these, and you see these huge Brontosaurus. Okay, this is Brontosaurus or something like that, right? With long neck dinosaurs as we know they exist from the fossils. And look at these people are trying to hold them down, or I'm not sure what they're trying to do. But it's in Egypt. They were in Egypt. They were in Babylon. They were in many different cultures all over the world, and this is possible drawing of this. Okay, and there are again many dragons, or I like to say dinosaurs. Okay, existing. There's another drawing of this dinosaur standing up. We didn't know that these dinosaurs could stand up like this, but this drawing tells you. And another famous uh, um, art that shows somebody hunting a huge dinosaur. Okay, and there are also a bunch of little these drawings and the paintings on the wall that shows these dinosaurs and people basically hunting them. Now, many people think that it's a hoax, but this is real. I mean, this is the tracks in Indiana or in America. Human footprint with a dino track, and it's all over the place. And this is from another temple in Cambodia. It has a perfect drawing of a dinosaur that we know. Okay, another dinosaur-like creature that fishermen are, fighting with the fish or something. I'm not sure what they're doing. But anyway, this is from ancient places. And this is a huge dinosaur, and it's a photograph of from America. A lot of cowboys or like these people with guns at the time start hunting these big birds that they called that they didn't know, they didn't have the word dinosaur, so they just hunted these down because they're kind of like dangerous to man, and they were like fun to hunt. So people recorded in their journals and that they hunted these huge birds that are a huge wingspan, look like a dinosaur, and this is a picture of a dinosaur. And Pterosaurus, pterodactyl or something like that. Yeah, pterodactyl. Look at this. They hunted these farmers from America hunted these, and it's not just the only. This not a hoax, by the way. This is not a hoax. This is a real photo. This is a real photo. And another photo. These hunters hunting another pterodactyl, and they hang it, of course, and they took a picture in front. Okay, there are these during the Civil War, they went through the mountains, remember, and they hunted these huge condor-like birds that are obviously a dinosaur. Okay, this is a pterodactyl. Okay, dinosaur. Okay, another one here. Pterodactyl, they hunted it, they put his foot over, stepping on the head, you know, showing off. But this is a real photo. Okay? Hoax? Okay, and this is a modern one. I don't exactly know where it's filmed from probably some Brazilian, or I'm not sure exactly where, but African country maybe. But anyway, they took the photo, and this most recent photo, look at this. Look at the tail, okay? This is another pterodactyl. Remember that they had these kind of tails that you saw, all over the place, not here. Over here, look at this tail over there, and this tail over here. And there's another photo of another bird that somebody took while it's flying. This is, guys, a dinosaur. I really wish they can have a real clear one captured alive. But anyhow, as you saw those prehistoric creatures still alive today, I mean, why not dinosaurs? I mean, even if they were hunted, And then this was photographed by somebody. A huge lizard or a dinosaur ran through across the road. A car size is probably about, it's about a car size, or pretty tall probably. And remember, this is supposed to be extinct in the 1800s before photographs were developed in 1900s. Remember, this was supposed to be extinct, this huge bird, but they might still have this alive. Okay, and then they found this baby dino near the Champlain Lake or something like that, where Champ or something like was found, and this guy found the baby dino with this fin, and they made it into a doll. They stuffed this animal and they made it a stuffed animal. Okay, and they preserved it, and this is no doubt a dinosaur baby. Okay, or whatever you want to call it. Anyhow, okay. Okay, and then there's the tracks that I told you, human tracks next to dinosaur tracks. Okay, in America. Huh. So, and they tested it. They dug this thing up, and the people cut it in half and see if there's a pressure points, moving the toes and stuff like that. They did a whole study, and they found these are genuine tracks of man running, at the same time, and it's been the same time where the dino tracks ran that way. So these are not a hoax, these are real. People did not have all this time to make this kind of junk. This is real things in the Cretaceous period rocks. Okay, now this is a London hammer found in Cretaceous period. Cretaceous period was the period when dinosaurs were alive. Evolutionists say, well, people were not there because we were developed, remember, 10,000 years ago, and we're evolution like that. And look, they had found a man-made tool, London hammer, inside a Cretaceous period rock. Okay, this Guadeloupe woman is a well-authenticated discovery which has been British Museum for over half a century. Okay, a fully human skeleton was found, complete in every respect except for the feet and head. It belonged to a woman about 5'2" tall. What makes this a very significant fact is that the skeleton was found inside an extremely hard, very old limestone, which was part of a formation more than a mile in length. Modern geological dating places this formation at 28 million years old, which is 25 million years before modern man is supposed to have first appeared on Earth. Or 26, right? I don't know how you guys calculating now. But anyway, voila. Okay, a human in the Cretaceous period rock. Okay, now, this is proven. I took it from Trey Smith website or something. Okay, it obviously has what is called a Tyrannosaurus bone. They found fresh living blood. What? How can they find T-Rex blood that is over 100, 50 million years ago? How can they find a fresh blood inside the bone? It doesn't make sense because everything is fossilized, and it has to be fossilized first. And there's a carbon dating. The carbon should have all left and have zeroed out because carbon, in 10,000 years, all the carbons should leave by the carbon dating rule. As you know, if you know carbon dating, carbon should all leave out and have to be changed out. I'll talk about the carbon dating method later, but yeah, fresh blood inside and even fresh tissues in this Tyrannosaurus rex blood, in the bone of a Tyrannosaurus rex. We have a fresh blood, guys. Okay, so it did not rot. Okay, so this is another picture of picture that somebody caught in 1977. This woman was just playing with her family and happened to see this weird looking creature in the lake. And this this what they call now champ. They tested it out in these places whether this is a hoax or real, and they found it. This is a genuine photograph, and yeah, it is genuine, and I believe maybe some dinosaurs are still alive. Uh, as you see all these other photos of dead dinosaur-like animals being washed up on shore from the ocean. Okay, look at the size of this thing. And look at this size. They're all over the place. Uh, to me, it's pretty genuine. I don't know, some people might say it's not, but it's not the only thing, you know. They also found this carcass here. Looked like a dinosaur to me. A long, huge thing. I don't know. It's like a huge what? Another one they found washing up on the beaches. I mean, these creatures die and they get washed up on the shore, and they appear all the time. I hope they find more. But anyway, there's another photograph of this woman or this person took the photograph of this water dinosaur looking like snake looking like creature in the water, and they took a pit photo, even up close. The face looks like, you know, monstrous monster or a dinosaur. And this is a recent photo from Canada. They found this huge dinosaur creature washed up by the lake. It's not an ocean, so it's not an it's not what do you call it? Uh, whale. It's a dinosaur like thing from a lake. And this Australian New Zealand sea boat caught this humongous dinosaur flesh, you know, while fishing. And it was rotting and dead, of course. But you know, as you see, it's a head over here, and you know, and they're trying to tell people, "Well, what is this? Can you guys determine what this animal is?" Of course, it's a dinosaur. And another photograph of a dinosaur-like creature, you know, swimming across a lake. I believe they're still alive, as you know, there's these evidences, right? Now, I want to tell you there's this Bible story in Chinese characters, and I made a separate video. Basically, you know, there are 6,400 plus languages around the world if it's by evolution, and we are only 10,000. Our history is only about 10,000 years. Uh, where are all these dialects coming from? Different dialects, even in China, there's 80 plus dialects alone. You know, right across the street, they speak a different language. You know, over a mountain, over a cliff, um, the next neighborhood speaks a total different language. Well, Bible says there was actually one language, and because the people were gathering in one place to defy God, God just confused it. And that's why God confused all the language of the world so that people could not understand each other, and they split over all over the world as God commanded them to do so in the first place. So because they were disobedient to God's will, and God just did it himself manually. Okay, so language is being unified rather than being evolved into different new languages, because now the whole world is trying to learn each other's language, so they're trying to unify the language. And as countries, you know, collide together, they're the one who's being dominated, their language gets destroyed, and many of them got extinct already. The languages already got extinct due to wars and colliding of countries and counties and cities and whatnot. They were being conquered, and they said, oh, you know, your language is no more. Use our language. So that's how the language got eliminated. So there are actually more languages than just 6,400 plus languages. There are actually over 10,000. Okay, and that makes total sense that God did it in the Tower of Babel. Okay, if you want to get to know that story more later. So yeah, look at this beautiful pigeon. Okay, um, do you think this beauty, this is not a design, but just by accident, by just several tries that this bird keep on trying to produce more beautiful colors to attract its mate? That's what the people say. That's what evolutionists say. That pigeons and peacocks and all these kind of thing say, oh well, these pigeons were just trying to attract their mates, so they start changing colors. They start developing better, beautiful designs and whatnot to attract their mate. Really, really, they can do this? They can just manually think and change color? Can you change your color? How long did that take, by the way? How long did that take, huh? A few days? A few years? Or hundreds of years, as you say? What about all these different birds? They did the same thing, they're the same species, but they just want to make different rainbow colors, so they just made themselves rainbow. How long did this take? Their beautiful design, they designed it themselves. They're that intelligent. What about all these different designs? It's just so perfect, everything is just so well designed, so well colored. I mean, they need to come up with the idea, and they need to come up with so much tries to come up with these different colors and design. I mean, it's not an accident. Look at this. Look at this. I mean, you understand? I mean, they need to think about how to quilt it with their brain. I mean, they need to design every single thing to make such a perfect coloring and such a perfect, nice designed things. It's not the only thing. This is just a koala bear, right? And look at the face. Every single koala bear taken photograph has expression of their face. It's all different expressions of face. You know, this is like a smiling almost. This is an art, guys. This is an art. It's not a coincidence. Evolution, okay? Looks like it's arguing. It's getting angry. Look at this. It's smiling at you. It's just laying down his flat back. It's looking at you, smiling. This face of a cat smiling. A cat looking at you. With these emotions expressed in these faces. Okay, how long do you think an emotion is being expressed in animals? How long do you think that takes for you to develop? This all had to be out of evolution, but it's all there. All there. Look at these fishes. I mean, look at their designs. I mean, look at how cute it is, how beautiful it is, how majestic the design is. The fishes came up with these design? Huh? Different purple color. I mean, I didn't Photoshop any of these. There are these electric green and stuff I read from the same species of fishes, okay? I didn't make this color. This is natural design of God. I mean, look at these, look how much development they need to have gone through if it was by evolution. Does it make sense to you? Does this make sense to you? What of all these different colored fish? I mean, this is not Photoshop. This is real. This is real, guys. How long do you think they need to develop these things? No, God made it, and each one is different in their design, by the way. God made it this way. Okay? The beauty in the ocean. Okay? The beauty, the different types of fruits, okay? That had to come with different types of taste, had to come with different types of, grains, seeds. They need to develop seeds. I mean, why would they want to all of a sudden develop seeds and to multiply for? Simply because God commanded it. You understand? This is not an accident. This is not whatever. This is by design. God wanted us to eat beautiful fruits and vegetables as food. So this whole theory is basically, this is a truth. There is no links. Okay? There was no evolution. This is the truth. This is a made up human thought, made up story. This was the truth. Never evolved. Okay, and there are some citations if you want to look at that. Anyhow, I have more videos coming up later on that explains how old the age of the Earth is and how they calculate the time. So we'll debunk all these kind of things. It's true. You do your own study. Okay? So anyhow, thank you for watching.